Welcome, sweet friends, to the channel Frugal Money Saver. My name is Emmy, my husband is Paul. We're an early retirement, debt and mortgage-free couple living in the Jefferson Valley area of New York. And our channel just shows you how to have a full, abundant life while spending less money. Today's video, we are going to showcase comfort food at its finest. This is going to be some of the best comfort food you have had in a very long time. Let me explain what we were trying to capture here. With the holidays coming up, there's a lot of food involved in all these holidays. Paul and I thought, how about making a super simple comfort food meal that you all could cook for any of these holidays and wow your guests. And I know we always think we need to serve the best cut of meat and the most elegant side dishes, but let me tell you, basic is best, especially if you are making it yourself. As you know, our son comes over every Tuesday for dinner, and he asked if one of the guys at work could come, and I was like, absolutely, the more the merrier. And we thought this would be a great time to try out our theory of a elegant comfort food meal. So we're going to take you into the kitchen. We're going to go back to 1971 for the main course of this meal. So let's get into the kitchen and see what we cooked up. My son and a guy he works with are coming for dinner tonight. I am going to be making this recipe. I went through my archives and found ribbon meatloaf, and this is Betty Crocker recipe card library. Here's the recipe in case you want to screenshot it. And it says down here, copyright 1971. So this is going to be so fun to try. The recipe for the filling calls for 4 ounces of either crumbled blue cheese or grated cheddar cheese. I have Swiss cheese, so that is what we're going to grate and use. I am sure any kind of cheese would work well in this. And now we have the egg white, so I'm just going to beat this slightly. So we're going to add that to the cheese. 1 tablespoon of water. It calls for 2 slices of bread, just broken into little pieces. And now I'm just going to mix this all together. And then we will set it aside for a minute. I have my 2 pounds of ground beef in my bowl. And the first ingredient it calls for is 3 pieces of soft white bread torn into pieces. My pieces are pretty big. The loaf of bread we bought just had these big pieces. I don't know what I did. So I'm going to only use 2, and I'm going to break them into small pieces and add it to the meat. The recipe did call for a pound of ground beef or veal and a half a pound of ground lean pork. I'm using all beef, and I'm using 2 pounds because the guys are coming, and those guys can eat. So I'm making a nice big one tonight, and I am just using all beef. I'm not using pork in this at all. I'm also adding 1 cup of milk. I was supposed to mix the bread and the milk together, so I'm pouring it over the bread right now. I just thought I had to add everything in, but I think this will be fine. I'm going to add our 1 egg yolk. It calls for 1.5 teaspoons of salt. I am not going to put in quite that much. I'm putting in about 3/4 of a teaspoon, but by all means, follow the exact recipe if you prefer. It says to add about 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, 1/4 teaspoon of garlic. Now it calls for a 1/4 cup minced onion. I'm using onion powder. I don't like pieces of onion in my meatloaf. I know I'm weird. It also said to add sage and celery salt, but I don't have either one of those. And then a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. They give you the pronunciation on the label. So about a tablespoon of this. And now the fun part, I get to mix this all together. Yikes. So this is my meatloaf pan. Our son got us this a while ago. And what's great is a lot of the fat can drip out. So I always line the pan, and I do grease this ahead of time. So we're putting that in there. I am going to tell you, I did add an extra whole egg to this. It called for just the egg yolk, but I did add a whole egg extra. And I did refrigerate both the meat mixture and the filling mixture. I just think it holds their shape better if you chill it first. I chilled it for about 2 hours in the refrigerator. Now I'm going to take half this meatloaf mixture. So we're going to put half the meatloaf mixture in the bottom of the pan. Now we're going to take the filling and we're going to put that in the middle. And now we're going to take the rest of the meatloaf and put it right on top. Now I will be making a glaze for it in a little bit, but I cook the meatloaf down a little bit before I put my glaze on it. Why do I do that? If not, the glaze just seems to run off of it and you lose so much of it. So I just put it on almost right before it's ready. I'm going to put this in a preheated 350-degree oven for about an hour or an hour and a half until it is completely done in the center. A meat thermometer should read over 160 degrees in the middle of the meatloaf for it to be done. Paul and I were just talking. We upped the temperature to 375 degrees. That meatloaf is 2 pounds. It's thick, and I think 350 might be a little low to cook it on. The meatloaf is in the oven. I am so excited that I was able to find this recipe and share it with you. So we're really excited to see how it's going to come out today. Now our side dish is another super basic food, but we're taking it up a notch. We're going to roast some Parmesan potatoes. I have showed you this recipe in the past, and those of you who have made it have said it is beyond delicious. So we're going to get back into the kitchen, put together this very easy, very frugal, but very festive side dish. Let's get going. We washed and scrubbed 4 large potatoes, and then we cut them into cubes, nice size cubes. Over here, I have a 9 by 13 pan, and I have 3 tablespoons of butter in the pan. I'm going to take the pan, put it in the oven for a minute, and let that butter melt. The 3 tablespoons of butter melted. Be careful, the pan is hot. Now I have a half a cup of really good grated Parmesan cheese, and I'm just going to sprinkle that on the bottom. Just want it all over. And you can use as much or as little cheese as you want. Now you're going to take the potatoes flesh side down and put them right on top of the butter and cheese. And I'm just going to take a little bit of garlic powder just on top. Just give them a little bit of flavor. And I'm going to do the same thing with some onion powder. They're supposed to cook in a 400-degree oven for about 45 minutes, but we have the meatloaf going in a 375-degree oven. I'm going to put them in a 375-degree oven. So we're probably going to have to cook them for about an hour, but we'll keep our eye on them. So we have the potatoes in the oven, we have the meatloaf in the oven, and everything smells amazing. And we're going to pair it all with a delicious romaine salad. So what are we going to make for dessert? We want to keep it easy. We know our oven is pretty tied up. So how about a crock pot dump cake? Let's turn the camera around and see how that came out. I know so many of you have mentioned making dump cake recipes. Well, tonight we're going to make a crock pot mixed berry cobbler dump cake. If you remember, I bought these when they were on sale back in the summertime. I think I paid 99 cents a bag. We food savored a bunch of them, and then they went on sale again for $1.99, and I just grabbed a couple more bags and just stuck them like this into the freezer. We're going to need 15 ounces of berries. These packages are 12 ounces, so I'm going to open the other one and probably just add a little bit more in. 1 classic white cake mix. This is 15.25 ounces. And then just 1 stick of butter. That is it. I greased my crock pot, and now I'm going to take one of the bags of fruit and just put it on the bottom. And we'll put another half bag in. Just want to make sure the bottom is coated. Now I'm going to take the cake mix and I'm just putting it over top. Do not mix it. So the whole trick is it's just going to sit on top of these berries. The berries are covered. They said to take the butter and just cut it. I'm going to grate the butter over the top of it, just so it goes everywhere. Be careful when you're doing this. Watch your fingers when it starts to get down low, please. Now you could have just cut the butter into small pieces and put it on top, but we used the grater. I like doing it this way. The recipe said to cook it on low for about 5 to 6 hours. I'm going to cook it on high. I'm thinking probably 2 or 3 hours. But every crock pot is so different, so keep an eye on it. I'm going to link the original recipe down below. So I'm going to put my cover on, set it to high, and we'll check back in about 2 hours and see how it's doing. These cooked for an hour. They are perfect. Now this is the trick. When you take them out of the oven, don't touch them. Let them sit in the pan for 5 minutes. I just put my timer on. And what that does is it allows the Parmesan cheese and butter to stick to the potatoes. So we're just going to let this sit for 5 minutes and then we'll plate it up. These cooled for 5 minutes and you can see they lift up almost as a sheet. Wait till you see the bottom side of these. Ooh. Look at that. Come on. Super easy, really delicious. Now I serve them with sour cream, but by all means you can just eat them like this. Now we're going to plate up the meatloaf. See how that came out. The meatloaf cooked for just about an hour and a half. Now I'm going to slice into this and we will see how it came out. It looks beautiful. For the glaze, I just did a little bit of ketchup, brown sugar, and mustard, and I put it on about 10 minutes before the meatloaf was done. Took the meatloaf out and I let it rest for about 10 minutes. Oh my goodness, do you see the middle of this meatloaf? The real test is going to be how it tastes though. This is truly comfort food at its best. We're not thinking about calories tonight. We're thinking about a warm, old-fashioned good dinner. As you saw, that plate of food was home-cooked goodness. All 3 of the guys had 2 big pieces of that meatloaf. So you could have definitely spread it to 6 to 8 people. No problem. It was 2 pounds of meat, but they ate and really enjoyed it. It was so delicious. I think it was the best meatloaf I've ever tasted. The middle comes out like a stuffing. A homemade bread and cheese stuffing. My son texted me when he got home and he's like, thank you for the most delicious meal. So I was like, this won. The ground beef cost me $2.99 a pound. So that was $6 for the 2 pounds of meat. The stick of butter was $1. Berries were $1. You had some eggs. I would say the whole meal cost approximately $11. Now, I know you could say, well, I could make it so much cheaper. We could make beans or we could make rice. That's not what this video is about. This video is to show you how to have an elegant, delicious, cooked from scratch meal. If we were to go out and have a meatloaf, potato, salad, glass of water, and a dessert, my goodness, it would be upwards of $15 to $20 a person.
That's easily,
right?
Yeah. The diner would charge you $14 for the meatloaf dinner, Probably another $7 for a dessert.
Yeah.
And if you order water, you're good. If you order any kind of drink, like iced tea or a soda, you're talking almost $4 now.
Yeah, at least.
It's crazy.
Yeah, beverage prices. Don't ever buy beverages in a restaurant. Always drink water. Right there are up to like $80 for the four of us, not counting tax and gratuity. But there was one glitch because something wasn't Paul approved. We cooked this on high for about 2 hours. And then I took the lid off completely 30 minutes just to brown the edges. That's what they said to do. I will link the original recipe down below. We did let it cool a bit. It's been about a half an hour since we turned it off. So let's see how this looks. Oh my goodness, look at the fruit. That looks beautiful. I'm going to top it with a little whipped cream. This smells wonderful. Easy berry cobbler in your crock pot. 3 ingredients. And because you cannot have warm cobbler without a little whipped cream, or ice cream would be great on this as well. So Paul's going to give it a taste. We'll let you know what we think. All right, Paul, tell us what happened.
The meatloaf was fantastic. It was really, really good. We enjoyed it so much. Our son loved it. Of course, his friend loved it. We had seconds. We still have some left over, if you can believe that. I'm going to dig into that any minute. Yeah, it was just heavenly. So if you can recreate that recipe, which is fairly easy, do it. Do it. That was Paul approved, definitely.
And the potatoes, hands down.
Oh my goodness, yeah, I forgot I forgot all of that. Yeah, potatoes are great.
Yeah,
whoa, another one.
Right. Okay, so what was the fail?
The fail was the dessert. You know what? The fruit tasted great. There was a natural sweetness about it. The fruit was delicious. The cake mix really didn't cook properly.
No.
It was kind of, I wouldn't even know, it was just kind of like soft.
It was cooked through, but it just fell flat. Yeah. I would never do that again. Never.
Yeah, a plain biscuit mix would be a little bit better, like a homemade biscuit or dumpling or something.
After we were done, Paul said, you would have been better off making the cake and putting fruit on top of it, honestly.
Right, yeah, make the box cake and then just put the fruit on top of it. So, yeah, it was not Paul approved.
So if you can, unless you guys would have better luck with it.
Yeah, if you can doctor it up some other way.
The thing I was sad about was an entire stick of butter. But you know what? Did we eat it?
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody ate it.
There was nothing wrong with it as far as eating it. You weren't, but...
it wasn't Paul approved.
Yeah, it
really.
had a weird consistency.
Yeah, it did a little bit. So, but anyway, other than that, take some time, recreate some scratch cooking for the holidays. We can't encourage you enough to start cooking from scratch, and it doesn't have to be on a grand scale. Meatloaf, potatoes, a salad, an easy yummy dessert, some cookies. You'll take it over the top, we promise.
Absolutely.
We ask that you please give this a big thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, which we hope you did. We ask that you subscribe if you haven't. Come on in, be part of our Frugal family. And our question of the day is, what is your favorite comfort food? What is the food that you go to when you just need that cold weather, middle of winter, pick me up? What is your go-to comfort food? Hands down for us, I think it was this meatloaf and potatoes. So good. But share with us, what do you go to for your good home cooking comfort food? We ask you to be well. We ask you to be safe. And above all, we wish you blessings. May God bless you. Until our next video. The benefits of the meatloaf pan, look at all the drippings that come out. And you don't have to worry about draining it while you're cooking it. So this pan is just so wonderful.